Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, the politics of skinny, with French politicians now banning underweight models from Paris runways. Also, a feminist show is set to hit TV screens in Afghanistan. Yes, you heard that right, a feminist TV series. And fading fast, we talk to American journalist and author Deborah Copaken about the invisibility of middle-aged women. But we begin here in France, that's decided to ban super skinny models in a bid to fight against anorexia. Under a new law, modelling agents and fashion houses will risk up to 6 months in prison and possible fines if they hire underweight models. Aurore Dupuis has more.
Victoire d'Auxerre, modelling for the biggest fashion houses in France. That was in 2010 after she got spotted in the street. Tall and thin, Victoire's career blossomed, but according to her mother, it wasn't worth it.
Sometimes when she'd come home exhausted and she'd tell me, I want to walk to the window and even further.
Victoire tried to commit suicide 3 times. She became skinnier by the day, standing at 1.80 meters, weighing 45 kilos.
I was shocked when I saw her. She was just skin and bones. She had no breasts, she didn't have her period anymore. It's devastating for the body.
She used to eat 1 apple a day, made herself sick and weighed herself constantly, all in the name of fashion.
She wasn't told directly to lose weight, but when she did, people said bravo.
Earlier this month, French lawmakers passed a law that bans designers from using anorexic models, a bill put forward by this MP, who's also a doctor.
The measure aims to protect models, not to prevent them from working, but to protect them, and at the same time to prevent French teenagers from feeling pressured into becoming skinny because it's supposedly fashionable. That has to stop. We can't turn a blind eye on that anymore.
Under the law, models will have to present a medical certificate and will have to respect a minimum weight. But for fashion houses, the new measure will deeply affect the industry.
French agencies are penalised by this restrictive piece of legislation, whereas European agencies can continue to work normally. And that will be unfair for French agencies.
French authorities are also cracking down on the glorification of skinny women on the internet, a crime that's punishable by a hefty fine or a prison sentence. In France, up to 40,000 people suffer from anorexia. Victoire has decided to quit her job, gain weight and study abroad, far away from the fashion world.
Now, juggling a career, children and a brutal ex-husband is all in a day's work for Shireen. She's the protagonist of a new show that's to be broadcast on Afghan television later this year. The portrayal of a strong female character is indeed a feminist victory in a country where conservative attitudes still very much prevail. This report by Emmanuel Paris and Olivia Salazar-Witzbeer.
Camera, rolling, take set.
A working single mother of 3 trying to escape a forced marriage. It's not a character you'd expect to feature on Afghan television, but the series Shireens Law will be screened later this year. Main character Shireen will tackle taboo issues like rape and family violence. The show hopes to break the silence and change people's perception of women.
There are people who have gone through these things. There are women who have gone through these things. There are mothers, there's fathers, there's daughters, there's sons who have gone through this sort of stuff. And, you know, if that is all that I managed to achieve by getting this series up and started and the momentum going on it, and for them to sort of go, okay, they're not bad, they're just human, doing the best they can, then hopefully I've done my job.
Women in Afghanistan are often stigmatised simply for leaving the house or seeking work or education. It's even worse for those who appear on TV, and several have been killed for their work.
It's a bit dangerous, even for myself. Yesterday we were shooting outside, and of course when they say action, I forget. But then when they say cut and I'm standing and waiting for the shot, I'm always scared that somebody may throw acid on me, or somebody may hit me with a knife, or...
Under the Taliban, televisions were banned in Afghanistan. Today, more than 50% of households across the country own at least one, bringing significant change to society.
Yeah, actually those who has TV, they are more open-minded, they are more liberal, they are more educated, and also, as I mentioned, they don't have more sympathy with armed opposition group, and also more women actually, they watch TV compared to the men.
Shireen works as a court clerk in the new TV show, which also targets Afghanistan's notoriously corrupt judicial system. Another controversial issue that this 12-episode series refuses to shy away from.
Now, if an alien was heading to planet Earth and depending on TV and film for information about our population, she or he may be mistaken in thinking that middle-aged and older women were close to being an extinct breed. Just to give you an idea, a report in the UK in 2013 by the Older Women's Commission revealed that among British television presenters aged over 50, 82% were men. And when it came to the television workforce, both on and off screen, it found only 7% were women over the age of 50. Deborah Copaken is an American journalist and writer who writes for the website themid.com that focuses on the midpoint of our lives, and she joins me in the studio today. Deborah, thank you so much for being with us. Now, why is it that women of a certain age seem to disappear from our screens?
If you can answer that question for me, then we will solve the problems of the universe. I mean, here it is. We are past our prime in terms of having children. We are past our prime in terms of our looks. And while men seem to be more desirable as they age and more in the world, we have been sort of shunted to the side.
Are we really past our prime, though?
Well, that's what the popular thought is. But I actually believe, me personally, maybe I don't look as good as I did at 22, but I feel more vital than I did at 22. And I feel like I know a heck of a lot more than I did. And I also feel that I'm in the world in ways that it's so antithetical to the way that I'm viewed. And it's this problem of being in a boardroom, or the problem of being in an office and being absolutely invisible to others because you've reached a certain age and people think, oh, she doesn't count anymore.
Now, you wrote about this recently in a piece for The Mid, where you talked about the reality TV star and American sports hero Bruce Jenner, who's transitioning to become a woman. And you talked about how he's in fact going to become invisible as a result of becoming a middle-aged woman.
Right. I was using him as an example. Obviously, I don't believe that he's going to become invisible because Bruce Jenner will never become invisible. But the humorous idea behind it, or hopefully the humorous idea behind it, was, why would anyone in their right mind want to become a middle-aged woman in America at this point? Because you're basically setting yourself up for failure and invisibility.
But certainly maybe that's what he wants in order to avoid the paparazzi.
Well, maybe, right? Although I don't think it's going to work for him.
So by not having middle-aged and older women on screens, what impact does that have on society?
I think we have a very skewed idea of what constitutes womanhood, particularly in America. I can't speak for France. Actually, I can speak a little bit for France because I've been walking around a bit. And one of the things that I love about being here in Paris is that women walk around in middle age looking fabulous. They dress fabulous. They seem fabulous. They just kind of have an air about them that maybe the American middle-aged woman doesn't, perhaps by virtue of the way society views her. And I think that because all the magazines and because all the films depict women only 35 to 40 and minus, that we have this idea that, 70-year-old men are married to 30-year-old women, or 80-year-old men are married to 40-year-old women. The 40-year-old woman is going to be the mother to a 25-year-old male actor. It's all so ridiculous in a certain way.
And Deborah, it's not just men who's at fault, is it? We, as women, are just equally as guilty. Look at us lining up to have Botox. Look at the increase in plastic surgery.
I agree with that. I really do agree with that. But that is also societally imposed. I have been fighting mightily against that. I write about this. Somebody just put makeup on my face today, but normally I don't have this much makeup on my face. I have very deliberately decided in my life not to do Botox, not to wear a lot of makeup. I have this gray streak, I don't know if you can see on TV, that's growing, and I keep thinking, at some point when it gets really big, I'm gonna dye it blue. But I will not dye it the color of the rest of my hair because I don't know, I want to, maybe, if politics is personal, my politics will be, I'm gonna age, and I'm gonna age right in front of you, and that's it.
With populations ageing in the developed world, isn't it the case that the situation for older women is going to improve?
One would hope. But hope does not normally work in the ways of older women. I wish I could say, yes, we have an aging population, and so soon we're going to be happy and accept aging women as part of our population and not the invisible 51%. But we are, at this point, when we go into a boardroom, invisible. Our voices are not heard. When you walk down the street, you're invisible. I didn't really enjoy the catcalls of my early 20s when you'd walk by a construction site, but there's also the point of when you walk by a construction site these days, if you're expecting the catcalls, you think, oh, wow, I'm really, I am invisible to everyone. I don't know what the solution to that is, and I know that if the population is aging, we're going to have to, at some point, accept that, but is that going to translate to accepting the older woman in the boardroom, accepting the older woman in the office, accepting the older woman as a sex object? And
as a figure of authority.
And, well, particularly as a figure of authority, absolutely as a figure of authority. And we don't do that very well, especially in the United States right now.
Deborah Copaken, I'm so sorry, we're going to have to leave it there. Deborah actually has a book coming out in French. It's the French translation of her bestseller, The Red Book, and that will be released in October. So viewers, do go and seek that one out. And that's it for now. If you'd like to comment on what you've just seen, you can head to our Facebook page. That's France24 51%, or do send us a tweet at _51%. Thanks for your feedback so far, and please keep those comments coming in. Until our next program, bye for now.